Alright, now we're going to be moving on to stage 2, now that the metallic coat's on. Kind of looks like Django, doesn't it? This is Krylon Satin Clear Finish. It's a clear coat. Now you might wonder, why are you putting a clear coat on if you're going to layer the paint? The reason why I'm putting a clear coat on now, and it becomes more obvious the deeper we get into the weathering, is because once I use the masking fluid and mask off damage, some of it I'll be able to rub off. Some of it I'm going to have to take some very fine grit, like 600. 600 is normally what I use for it, and rub through. And we'll have to do that a couple times for each layer. Well, the metallic coat is going to be the thinnest layer of paint we have on the helmets. So by putting a coat of clear coat on, I'm adding a layer of protectorant to that, so that when I go back and sand, if I do sand a little bit too hard, I'll start cutting through the clear coat and not through the metal coat, and you won't be able to see the primer base. Typically what I do is I put on a coat of metal paint, I'll put on a coat of the satin clear paint, or the satin clear sealant, I'll put on another coat of metallic, and then another coat of clear coat. And then the helmet will be prepped at that point, ready to actually start applying the masking fluid. But that's going to take a while, unfortunately, because one of the things I've learned the hard way is you really need to let it dry before you start putting the masking fluid on. Pretty much I give it a day per coat of paint. So what I'll be doing today is I'll be putting on the metallic, the clear coat, and the other metallic. That's not going to interfere too much. Then I'll let that sit for about 24 hours. I'll come back with the masking fluid, mask off the damage, come back, put on my base coat of paint, which in this case is going to be black. My helmet scheme is silver with a black undercoat, white on top, and red accents for this helmet. This helmet's silver undercoat, or black undercoat, white top coat with orange accents. So the thing that's really tricky with this stuff is it's hard to see. So you have to be very careful when you're going through. Stand back, go very slowly, right? Because the worst thing you can do, and it's really easy, I've done it so many times, is you start thinking there's not enough there, so you put more on, and then the next thing you know, it's running. This isn't, you don't have to do a really deep, thick coat. That's not what this is for. This is just to provide that little extra layer of protection when you're going back later and sanding. So, same process that you use. And one thing, when you're spray painting like this, do a lot of tests if you can, on even if it's just a piece of wood, a piece of scrap Sintra. Just do some tests so that you get used to the feel of the paint and the paint cans. Each brand of paint's different. Sometimes each can of paint responds differently. So always try to start off real conservative and just do little light coats. Like I said, you don't have to go heavy with it. You just want to make sure it's protected. The other thing I like to try to do here too is I like to start at the top. I know I kind of started here, but that's because of the angle. Start at the top and clear coat. That way, if it does kind of run a little bit, or you start putting a little too much on, it'll go down. You still might have to sand it, but it won't be as bad. So, this will be another area where I'm just going to turn the camera off now, because it's going to be an hour of me doing that. I won't videotape me putting on the second coat of metallic or the second clear coat. Just remember, that is what I'm doing. And again, that's for the long-term sanding issue.